Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai Bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those are the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. Tonight I'm going on one of my night walks. Dojo's closed, and I'll be walking my dog tonight. So World, Gabby, World, here she is. She doesn't want to stand here while I introduce this video, to be quite honest with you. Tonight we're going to be, she's walking in a circle. Tonight we're going to be going over solo training and the importance of solo training. Probably going to rub a few people wrong on this one, to be quite honest with you. Might be a little controversial topic. But that is going to be the topic tonight. I kind of think I want to share some of my thoughts on, straight up the importance of solo training within the martial arts. So, before we begin, come on, Gabby, let's go this way. Before we begin, I just want to say, if you guys are new to my channel, if you guys are into classical Japanese martial arts, and then or if you're into reality-based self-defense, although I think all self-defense should be reality-based, unfortunately it's not. Most people sell you a bunch of bullshit. But if you're into reality-based self-defense, martial arts philosophy, or Japanese martial arts in general, then subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the little bell. That way you guys can get the notifications on the videos that I upload, on the new ones. I do put up 2 to 3 videos a week, and at least a minimum of 2 to 3 videos a week. And that way you guys keep up with what I do. Also, if you guys are interested in training, please check out our website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of our schools and the different traditions that we teach. And if you don't live next to one of our schools, we also offer an online ninjutsu dojo. Now, tonight, the reason I want to talk about solo training and its importance is because I do offer online training. A lot of people give online training a bunch of shit and a bunch of crap. And that's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Even Harvard and Yale has online classes. So learning information through video is, getting information, and processing information is processing information. You can do that whether you're standing in front of someone listening or listening to it on the video. There's no question about that. I will say that I do believe that 99% of online programs are absolutely shit. They're only in it for the money. They're not trying to make anybody good. They're not trying to make anybody be better, make their skills better. And that's what separates my program from everybody else. And I know that's probably what they say too, but I'm being just fucking real. There's a lot of requirements in the online dojo. You have just as many requirements in the online dojo that you do in any of our other dojos. The physical requirements are the exact same. In fact, that the pages, the Dinsho, and the pages that you receive for the requirements are the same exact pages that a student would receive in one of our actual physical dojos. So you're set to the same standard. Just because it's online, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not as good. Another thing I want to say, because I think the online training gets a little bit, what's the word? A misunderstanding. People automatically think online training is specifically solo training. And that is something I want to cover real quick before I begin. I do think that you need to have more solo training in your training curriculum or your training schedule than actual hands-on training. And I'll explain that in a minute. But when you guys are going through the levels, I just want to say this for you guys who are interested in the online ninjutsu dojo. Most Japanese martial arts, there are 10 levels to black belt, and the first 2 levels of training, you don't need to have a partner in those particular levels, as long as you have a heavy bag or something like that that you can punch and kick on. And the reason for that is the first couple levels, we are looking at very basic maneuvers. We're looking at it for someone who's never done martial arts at all. So basic stances, punches, kicks, movement drills, rolls, blocks, things like that, combinations, a lot of physical conditioning, things like that. We're looking at really basic maneuvers in the martial arts for the first couple levels, kamae and so on and so forth. Now, my dog ain't walking with me, so if I don't get her going, then this could be a lot longer video than what I wanted. Anyway, but once you get past level 2, you will absolutely need to have it. If you don't have a training partner, you will have to have someone to demonstrate the skills on. assuming you don't have a training partner or you're not coming to some of our workshops and so on and so forth. I do travel, I do workshops, we do seminars, we have 3 Taikais every year, we have multiple schools, they have Taikais, they have seminars, blah, blah, blah. There's multiple opportunities for all the students in the online dojo. Damn, Gabby, come on. For that, you guys to attend seminars and workshops that we host. You guys can get hands-on training that way. If you are nowhere near a dojo, you guys can schedule times to come to that. Been doing the online training for over 10 years now, so we probably got people in every state. So if you're willing to make a drive to get some training in that way, if you'd like to study, there's always ways. There's always ways. If you truly want to do it, you can always find a way. But my point is, the first 2 levels, to test, another person isn't required. Once you hit level 3, then it becomes very required, because there's so many technical skills and everything that are hands-on, and you have to shoot them from different angles and so on and so forth. You will need a training partner at that point. I wanted to tackle that particular portion before we started, simply because an individual online made a video, and there's absolutely no way, although the individual did not mention my name or my school, there's no way this individual, who has a very popular martial arts channel, by the way, there's no way this individual was not talking about me. Like, I'm not in a negative way, and I wouldn't believe otherwise. I mean, I truly believe he was trashing me in the online training, and, you know, training by yourself in the woods or whatever, you know. I just think that's pretty tacky and very unprofessional, and, you know, but, you know, his actions are a reflection of himself. It doesn't have anything to do with me. So I'm just going to do what I do and keep going, right? Anyway, when it gets to the requirement, when we get to solo training, man, I look like hell tonight, huh? I have no makeup on. I hurried up and combed my hair before I got going. Come on, Gabby, let's go. When you get to actual training, when you look at all forms of athletic ability, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, even people who are musicians, people who are archery, people who do firearms, you know, that kind of thing. They're shooting, you know, like that kind of stuff. I can tell you right now that the majority of people, no matter what skill you do, the majority of people will do it more by themselves than what they do with another person. And most anything that's very physical, and I'm not trying to be inappropriate, but if it takes a physical skill, the majority of people do it more by themselves than what they do with another person. It's an absolute fact. And I can promise you that Michael Jordan spent more hours on the playground by himself, shooting jump shots, running drills, footwork drills, layups, whatever, you know, turnaround jump shots. He was working on that more than he was in a game. I can tell you that, you know, same thing with Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. They put more hours in perfecting their craft and working on their individual skills than what they had been playing games. That's absolute. I mean, a normal basketball player will practice more hours, you know, just than they do play a game in a week. Same thing with football. Same thing with baseball. I mean, you know, most baseball players go and they practice they got a machine that shoots a ball at them, and they just practice hitting the balls, or whatever, you know. The majority of people in most athletic training spends more time by themselves, and they should. And the reason that solo training is so important, because it helps build the mind, the body, and spirit. You can't really get spiritual when you're always interacting with other people. For you to have a relationship with the martial art that you're training with, and that's really what you're trying to do, is you're trying to have a relationship with the martial arts, whatever that is. For us, we teach Ninjutsu and classical samurai Bujutsu, so Koryu. You want to be able to understand that tradition, that ryuha, what they did, why they did it, what is the kuden, what are the various henka, how's the kata, what are the applications of the kata, what are the reasonings behind everything that you do, what's the little nuances of this technique. You want to know that, and to do that you got to study. And that study is something that you do with the art. You got to take the time to get off your fucking ass and go get it done. And the reality of it is, if you just one of those people that are like, well, I go to the dojo 2 times a week for an hour, and you may get some hands-on training and you're in a group, but that doesn't mean you're going to be any fucking good. The people that spend hours and hours on their craft, and they'll have, like, you know, a day or two just solely on, we're going to work bag work and shadow box and do bag drills and work on their striking, their punches, kicks, or combinations. You have another day where they're doing like, you know, conditioning work and footwork drills where they're working the Happo Sabaki and working on different ashiwaza or footwork drills where it's meiash, ushiro ash, you know, working on different combinations with your feet, footwork drills, jump rope, skipping drills, rolling drills, ukemi, and you're working that tai sabaki, you know, and then you have another day where you might be working on kicking skills, you know, and so on and so forth. And then with our art in Koryu, weapons are such a big thing. I mean, if you were doing kickboxing or sport martial arts, I can understand, well, where solo training might be, you would need more time, you know, to get the sparring and all that. And I think sparring is great. Anyone who watches my channel, you guys know that we do a lot of sparring. I'm an advocate for sparring and kumite and full contact grappling and full contact sparring and kickboxing. Advocate. That's a great way of training. I think that it has numerous lessons, and you can't be good without it. You're gonna have to spar. You're gonna have to get down for the crown and knuckle up with another person so you can get that experience. And I'm not, so don't miscue this video that I'm making here, this importance of solo training for, I'm saying that, you know, solo training is important and that you don't need to train with another person. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. I want to make sure I'm very clear about that. I'm sure I'll repeat that later on, as I generally repeat myself quite often in these videos. But my point is, no matter what it is that you do, you will do it more with yourself to work on those skills so that you could put it to the test with another person. So like, you know, for us in Koryu, we work with a lot of weapons. So you're gonna be working with your stick. How can you work on all the various stick skills, the blocking, the flowing, the drills, the strikes, all these different things. Same thing with the knife, firearm, and concealed carry training. How quick can you pull your gun? How can you get to the gun? How can you move at a 45 and get away from a pursuer? Understanding situational awareness, studying the different environments, understand the different elements, earth, wind, water, fire, void, looking at the lighting, looking at the shadows, studying the environment, studying people, the topography, the geography, understanding the psychological makeup of the people around you, being able to have the situational awareness to see the people around you, understand what's going on. You don't need people to help you do that. You don't need people to help you learn how to pull your knife or pull your firearm quicker, to work on your stick skills and your knife skills. You know, if you're gonna get into a fight, the things you're gonna do is punch and kick. You can't punch and kick on a person full force, but you're gonna have to punch and kick something full force because you want your muscles and your skin and bones to be able to have that understanding of how to do that. And the only way to do that is to punch and kick some shit full force. Hit the heavy bag, work on the trees, work on various different types of training apparatuses that'll help condition your skin, condition your bones, condition your joints, impact conditioning, maybe doing a lot of like thrust kicks and front kicks and side kicks and all this stuff on trees, get that jarring effect to the body so you understand what it feels like when you're hitting something really solid, you know, and all that kind of stuff. All these skills are something that you can do. If you really want to be better, you can do that without somebody else. That's an absolute. Now granted, yes, when you're doing the locks and the throws and you're trying to, you know, understand the sparring and that aspect, yeah, you need a training partner. Again, I'm not saying to say that training all by yourself is what you need to do. I have never said that. And anybody, and the individual that made the rude comments, and I know he made these comments towards me, he clearly doesn't understand how serious I am about the martial arts, and he probably hasn't watched a lot of my videos, because if he did, he had seen real quick that we do weight training and sparring and grappling and kickboxing and lots of hands-on drills. But I believe the best time I have spiritually when I'm working on spirituality, the best time is when you're all alone and you're focusing on that. That is something that's specific. The mental aspects of martial arts, that's something that dominantly you'll be by yourself. The physical aspects, yeah, you got the physical aspects with yourself and the physical aspects against another person. And although there are emotional and mental concepts as well, versus the biggest part of the emotional and mental and spiritual aspects do come from solo training. The biggest advantages that you're going to use, your weapons that you're going to use against another person is going to come from your solo training. Everyone is like, oh, I want to be good at martial arts, and then you go 1 or 2 hours. If you only go 1 to 2 hours, it doesn't make a shit with your solo training, or if you're going in there and you're just sparring for 2 hours, you ain't going to be any fucking good. You can't, come on, babe, come on. You can't do anything for 1 hour a week and expect to be a great martial artist off of it. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if someone says, hey, I want to lose some weight, okay, well, but I'm only going to diet 1 day a week. Well, if you diet 1 day and you don't diet 6, your fucking ass ain't losing weight. That's just all there is to it, you know? It's kind of like, well, I want to be a bodybuilder, okay, but I'm only going to go to the gym 2 days a week. Well, if you're only going to lift weights 2 days a week, and you're not going to lift weights 5 days a week, what's the chances of you really becoming a professional bodybuilder? Not very, right? I want to be great at fighting and combat. Okay, but I'm only going to go to the local Y for a 45-minute class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, so with 168 hours in the week, and you're going to do an hour and a half, what are you going to do in the other 164 hours? You know, or whatever, 166 hours that are left to get good. If you're not, the thing is so many people like to make excuses. They like to make excuses on why they can't get somewhere. Oh, that teacher's bad. Ain't the teacher, you're just fucking lazy. You know, that teacher pushed me so hard. Teacher probably didn't push you hard, you're just lazy. You just didn't want to do it. That's more what happens. And then they make excuses on why they can't do the training. Well, I don't have the time. You got the time. If there's 168 hours in the week and you work a full 40 hours, there's 128 hours. You can find 4 or 5 hours a week to train in the martial arts. You know what I mean? 7 days a week. If you're training 4 days a week, that means you're training more than days off. 5 days a week, that's great. 5 days on, 2 days off, or whatever split you're going to do. But the goal is you want to train more than not. That way you could become good. That becomes what you want. But when you look at everything, your coordination skills, your striking skills, your kicking skills, your combination skills, your speed, your quickness, your strength, your endurance, your flexibility, all those things, all those skills can be heightened on your own. And there's a very important aspect to doing that. If your only time you're training, and again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying only solo training. I'm not saying that. I just want to reiterate the shit. But I'm just saying, if you are not solo training, you are not going to be good. If you're not taking the time for yourself to have that relationship with the martial art that you're studying, and you're not doing the dirt time, you're not getting out there and working on your moves and hitting the heavy bag and working on your flexibility, if you're just showing up to the dojo once a week or once every other week and you know you have a good grapple, you're not going to be good. You're just not going to be good. You can kid yourself, you might have a good time, you might win a few matches, but you're not going to be good at that art. You're not going to be good at that craft. And you can kid yourself all you want, and you can lie to yourself all you want, and someone can be just like feeding you a bunch of shit just because you're paying them and they give you a nice fancy belt. But at the end of the day, you know, I know a lot of people who train the majority on their own, and then they go and they do some hands-on training here and there at workshops, and they are great fighters. They're great martial artists and they're great fighters and they're really fucking good. And maybe that's because when they were younger, they spent a lot of time with the sparring and all that kind of stuff. But I also know a lot of people that they don't ever train on their own. They don't ever lift weights. They don't ever work on flexibility. They don't ever hit the bag. They don't ever do cardio. They don't ever jump the rope. But they'll go to the dojo twice a week for 45 minutes and they do a couple techniques. They do a wrist lock here, wrist lock there, and they suck. So anyone who tells you that one is more important than the other, that's absolutely not true. It's based on the individual. I think the solo training is more important because when you're by yourself, you start to build that self-esteem, that self-confidence, that self-awareness of what you can and can't do. And at the end of the day, I strongly believe that the spirit, in Japanese martial arts, we call it bushiki. Bushiki means like samurai spirit or warrior spirit. And I believe that that is the most important thing in a fight. Like, do you have the spirit? Do you have that warrior spirit to keep going, keep fighting, no matter what, persevere, endure, and overcome? You know, no matter how bad it gets, you just refuse to quit. The thing is, what people just don't want to do is people nowadays, Well, I say people, that's probably incorrect. Kids nowadays, people who are like, you know, under the age of 30 or whatever. I'm just shocked at how many people don't want to work for shit. They just make a bunch of excuses and they don't get off their ass and they don't work hard. And the only person that's going to make you good is you. And if you're only going to go to the dojo 2 days a week, that ain't enough. That isn't enough to make you good. I don't give a shit what school you're going to. I don't give a shit what teacher it is. It is irrelevant. An hour and a half and of a whole week is not, you're not going to be this great grand master of any martial art. If you're not getting off your ass and making yourself better, then you're not getting off your ass and making yourself better. That is an absolute. And if you can't take the time for yourself, then there's going to be a point in time where that dojo ain't going to get it done either. It's like these people, they're like, they start and stop all these fitness training all the time. It's like, oh, I'm going to try Tai Bo, and then I'm going to try Jazzercise, and then I'm going to try Tai Chi, and then I'm going to, oh, I found this new thing. It's the new water aerobics, or oh, I'm going to go do cardio kickboxing, or and people just try. They keep switching shit. And it's not that any of it didn't work. It's that they didn't do it long enough to make it work because it's too fucking hard. You know, a lot of people, the default setting is lazy. And, you know, one thing I definitely can say that I do for my students is I definitely paint, anyone who knows me would say this, as I definitely paint the correct, what's the word for it, the correct, I want to say image, or it's not the right word, but I do what I say I do. That's probably it. Everyone knows I train my fucking ass off constantly. You know, I do cardio every day. I work the bags every day. I have a split weight training schedule. I do a lot of shit all the time. I train my ass off, and a lot of the training is solo. Yeah, I do hands-on training. Of course, I run a dojo, and we do bag work, and we do hands-on, and we spar, and we work on nagewaza, and hip throws, and shoulder throws, and sweeps, and reaps, and taking the throws to locks, and working on lock flow sets, and, you know, whatever. For those of you guys who know Japanese martial arts, or the terms would be like, you know, arm bar or whatever, you know, jujigatami, udagatami, udagarami. We're working on the locks. We're working on the flow. Yeah, we do that, but the majority of my training is not that. The majority of my training is making sure that everything I do, everything I have, all my individual skills are sharpened to the point that when I need them, they're there. But so many people, they're overweight, they're out of shape, they don't train hard, and they think about it, they want to do it, but they don't do it. And they make excuses on why they don't do it. And the only way you're ever going to get good is to get off your ass and get it done. And like in Japanese martial arts, there isn't a Japanese martial artist alive that hasn't heard of Miyamoto Musashi. Yeah? What dojo did he go to? Yeah, I don't think he signed up for a dojo and got any belts. He was a wanderer, had a sword, and he just, you know, for those people who like to make fun of people who run around in the woods all by themselves and play samurai and ninja, right? For the people that do shit like that, you know, worked for Musashi. Right? I think the majority of people who work on archery skills and firearms, the snipers, right, in our military, they spend more time at a shooting range hitting targets and practicing their skill than what they do in live fire and live combat. Right? I mean, I'm just telling you that you cannot overlook, you cannot subtract the fact that if you're going to be great, you have to put in the time. There isn't anybody I've ever seen in any martial art, even though I do Japanese martial arts and specifically the Koryu, but any martial art that I've ever seen, whether it's MMA fighters like Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey or some of these other people who do other martial arts that I've seen, all of them that are great, those are the people that have done the time. They've done the dirt time. You can look at their hands. They got calluses on their fucking hands. They've done the dirt time. They go to the gym. They work on their cardio. They work on their flexibility. They work on their striking. They work on their kicking. They work on the bags. They're constantly keeping their craft sharp, and they're refining it and keeping it where it needs to be. They're not just being like, oh, I'm not going to train this week. Nah, next week I'll get in some extra roll time. No, the people who are great don't do that shit. The reason they do the roll time or they do the kumite and all that is to test the skill. They do it because they want to see, are they are they doing what they're doing properly in their solo training by working on their combinations and cardios and all this kind of stuff. Now don't get me, there are certain things that go outside of the world of kumite, like self-defense, when you're working on knife disarms and gun disarms and all that kind of stuff. There's absolutely no way you're going to be able to do that on your own. And again, I'm in no way saying you don't need a training partner. I can't imagine someone actually saying you don't need to have someone to train with in martial arts. I mean, I don't know. I've never met someone that says you don't have to have that. But anyway, apparently some people say that, I guess. But anyway, I definitely think in the beginning, a training partner, if you don't have a lot of experience, in the beginning, you don't need one, only because you're trying to really practice on proper footwork and practice. You need to learn how to you got to walk before you can run. You need to learn proper stances and proper kamae and proper strikes and proper kicks and footwork drills and proper ukemi and rolling. And you need to have those skills down pat before you start throwing someone into the fire and having them spar and grapple and do all these hands-on things. Because if they can't do the individual skills right, then with no one there, with no resistance, they're not going to do it with someone there with resistance. So in the beginning, when you're in that white belt, yellow belt, orange belt stage, that kind of thing, well then yeah, I can understand that. But there's a big difference between white belt, yellow belt training, and then when you get into your upper Q ranks, you should be very well versed in hands-on training. I'm a huge advocate for solo training. I do think that people need to have more solo training and have that connection to the martial art spiritually and mentally and emotionally than what they need to be, slugging it out doing kumite and kickboxing. I am a huge advocate for that solo training and training your mind and body and spirit, and then taking those skills and then testing them through hands-on conditioning, working the knife, the stick, the gun, and all that kind of stuff. But solo training is very important, and I know that there's a lot of people that they want to be great at martial arts, and they talk to me about, oh, I'm great, but oh, I can't just practice. I can't practice. You can't practice. You're just not practicing. Don't let your inability of not having someone around. God damn, Gabby. Don't have your inability of not having someone around stop you from being great, because that's absolutely ridiculous. If you want to be good, then get off your ass and get good. No one is responsible for your success except you. You are the only one responsible for your success. If you want to be a better striker, go strike. You want to be a better kicker, go kick. You want to be stronger, go lift. You want to have better cardio, go run. You want to work on your skin and bone conditioning, get it fucking done. Get off your ass and get it done. The only person that can help you is you. Coaches can help you, can coach. Mentors can direct. Teachers can lead and help point in the right direction, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to get off your ass and get it done. That is an absolute. So this is going to be called Importance of Solo Training #1. I do want to put it in a whole series of these because I think doing solo drills and all that kind of stuff is important, only because we do have an online Ninjutsu dojo, and I do know that the majority of my students that are in the online dojo do train solo. And like I said, I do think that there should be a lot more time perfecting those skills and making sure everything's correct in the art, and really having that relationship with the art. I think that's very, very important. So I will start doing a lot of solo training drills and a lot more of these solo training lessons, and really get into the mindset. Like we talked about Miyamoto Musashi and being able to, how he was basically all by himself and he was great. And I use the analogy of the basketball players and the football players and the golfers and baseball players and all this kind of thing. All those different analogies are true. If it's a physical skill, you're going to have to practice before you can put it to the test. So anyone who says solo training is shit, they are wrong. You have to have balance with your training, and solo training is a very important and integral part to martial arts training. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either full of shit, they don't know what they're talking about, or they're selling you something. So anyway, I'm now here, so I'm gonna let you guys go. If you guys are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, check out my website at www.budoninjutsu.com. And if you have any questions, stick in the comment section, and I will get a video up for all of you guys the next couple days, all right? Bye.